Following the conclusion of her second Vancouver show on Sunday, December 8th, Taylor Swift departs BC Place Stadium. In Vancouver, Taylor Swift performed for the second of her final 3 engagements. Taylor Swift did, however, wave to the BC Place Stadium audience before departing after the performance. As part of her second-to-last acoustic set of the historic tour, Taylor Swift asked her close friend and opening act, Gracie Abrams, to join her on stage. In her purple-blue attire, the era's entertainer danced and strutted up to the microphone after performing "I Can Do It With a Broken Heart." "Vancouver, welcome to the acoustic set," Swift exclaimed, raising her hands in the air as the crowd's cries and applause filled BC Place Stadium on the second night of the tour in Vancouver, Canada. She added that occasionally she brings in a special guest and described how each surprise set features a different selection of tunes on the piano and guitar. "You guys met my friend Gracie earlier, right?" Swift made fun of Abrams, who has alternated between opening for her on the tour. "She's also my friend, and when I set out on the era's tour, I kind of made this invisible decision that I was going to invite artists out on this tour that felt like family." Wearing a glittering black dress, Swift invited the 25-year-old beauty to join her for a mashup of 2 of their songs. The songs "I Love You," "I'm Sorry" by Abrams and "Last Kiss" by Swift were combined. Abrams is performing with Swift during the acoustic portion for the 4th time. With the audience's wristbands glowing a bright purple, Abrams stooped down to Swift at the finale, gave her 2 heavy embraces, and then disappeared back into the center diamond. The Tortured Poets Department and Maroon from Midnights were mashed together by Swift when she sat down at the piano. 4 weeks now, the mere prospect of Taylor Swift concluding her enormous Eras tour in Vancouver has made me prone to crying uncontrollably. Knowing that the song, "It's Been a Long Time Coming," was the opening number of the epic 3.5-hour play. Hearing the lyrics has made me shudder. Given that Swift was the topic of the press conference, I essentially skipped past BC Place, foregoing the customary protocol. Just one glance at a promotional poster made me squeal with joy. True enough, I consider myself to be a Swiftie. Like a lot of people, I lost the Great War in November 2023 and was not given a code to try to purchase tickets to the events in Vancouver, Toronto, or some European cities. I hoped for a whole year that I would be able to request and receive media tickets. In summary, what you are going to read is essentially the realization of my greatest dreams. I felt like I had been preparing for this moment for a year and a half after watching a couple dozen grainy live streams of the Eras tour as it traveled through the US, parts of Asia and Australia, Europe, and back to the US and Toronto before arriving at BC Place this weekend. I also watched hundreds of short video clips of the show and the Eras tour movie in theaters last year. However, nothing compared to the first time I walked into the stadium on Friday night. And I'm not sure I can even put into words how it feels to watch Swift perform in front of 60,000 captivated fans from my vantage point in the middle section of the floor in the 12th row. Rarely did it occur. I did attend. I've never had more fun than I did then. I'm blending eras here, but that's what the Eras tour is. A retrospective of a professional music career that spans 18 years and counting, with a lot of happy radio hit pop in between. The genres range from folklore to country pop. I love Swift, but to be honest, she doesn't even play my fave songs. Out of her 274-song collection, she performs 45 of them in whole or in a modified form during the show. The in-person experience was really weird, especially considering how well-prepared I was for the set list and staging and being surrounded by Swift fans from all over the world. What really stood out to me was the stark contrast between the experiences of viewing and listening to music. The sound of 60,000 people singing along, as well as breathtaking special effects and choreography, replaced the intimacy of being one with Swift's frequently beautiful lyrics and multi-layered musical composition. From where I sit on the floor, the proximity to the end of the enormous catwalk is both fascinating and frustrating. You are constantly straining to catch a glimpse of Swift and her dancers, craning your neck to try to see them through the firm hands of people waving, the arms raised in the air, and the cameras that are recording for hours on end. With shifting risers, traveling to every spot on the stage, and huge scale features that make the small seem large, Swift does a fantastic job of taking into account the size of the stage. The show starts with her dancers holding enormous coral and mint-tinted petals several times their body size, softly waving and bending them until Swift eventually blends into Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince from her 2019 album Lover. These are the first eras in the show: Lover, Fearless, and Red. It's appropriate that Swift starts with Lover because the pandemic in 2020 prevented the tour's Lover Fest from happening. Swift taunted the Vancouver audience in her opening statement by asking if anyone knew the bridge to Cruel Summer and urged us to sing along to prove it. Of course we could, silly Taylor. Even if Swift omits songs from her first self-titled country album from the eras, she still dazzles with three of Fearless's biggest glittering country-tinged hits: Fearless, You Belong With Me, and Love Story, the latter of which frequently inspires crowd offer requests. Even though I didn't see any, the Red set features some of the tour's most memorable moments, such as Swift passing her hat to a young fan who was selected to wait for the honor at the very end of the stage during 22. Unsurprisingly, the Vancouver N1 recipient was a lively young girl who seemed to enjoy every second of the momentous ceremony. When Swift sings the spoken portion of We Are Never Getting Back Together, she hands the microphone over to dancer Cam Saunders, who is renowned for providing an original ad-lib response, sometimes one that is selected to appeal to the local audience. Using the more conventional, like ever, he may have practiced his Canadiana jokes at the 6 prior Toronto performances, but it's also possible that this was due to the fact that the show was being professionally videotaped. Fans who were making predictions found the show to be mostly free of surprises. Fans, including myself, had been wondering for weeks what surprises the first Vancouver event would have, but there was none of that sort. Swift chose to stick to her Speak Now set's one song, Enchanted, rather than reintroducing the well-known hymn, Long Live. Swift gestured across the stadium while singing, I was enchanted to meet you, with her outstretched arm. You think she is speaking directly to you for a little minute. Swift's set from her groundbreaking Reputation album included powerful beats that evoked the feel of a vintage concert, and some of the most demanding physicality and spotlight notes added an extra element of wow. In keeping with the lack of surprises, Swift did not disclose the date of the release of her re-recorded version of Reputation, also known as the Taylor's version, for which she will possess the masters, despite fans' demands. A 3-minute applause greeted Champagne Problems. Next, Swift appeared for the sister album set of Folklore and Evermore, also known as Folkmore, wearing a long, flowing outfit that was positioned on top of a mossy cabin roof. The Unexpected albums, which were released in rapid succession during the pandemic, signaled a significant change in Swift's sound, with a reduced alt-folk vibe and a greater emphasis on songs with fictional narratives. Swift addressed her doubts at the time that those album tracks would ever be performed live before performing Champagne Problems, which she performs by herself on the piano. A long ovation always follows the song, as if it were some sort of huge uncorking of collective relief. It's anticipated to take 3 minutes in this instance. In the entire show, it is the loudest part. Despite the drawbacks of being on the floor, this set was the most worthwhile, especially during My Tears Ricochet and August. In an attempt to replicate the luminous orbs the dancers carry during the song, several fans in our zone disrupted Willow by blowing up orange balloons and holding phone flashlights up behind them. This was impolite and distracting because we now had to look over balloons and outstretched arms to see anything. Never mind that it had a minor impact because just a small portion of the population started the campaigns on their own, some of them using paper lanterns. Splash Pop shows had pyrotechnics, but the Star 1989 Star set brought back big shiny pop with smashes like Shake It Off and Style. Moreover, flames are erupting into the sky from